sketch. So now we get into her. Again, it's the same thing. By the way, we didn't see any body blocking for her at all, whereas body blocking was done for the guy. We didn't see any for her. Immediately goes into a perfect sketch and then flat color for the face. And then now we get like this little demo of the artist, you know, on Procreate. So now there's like a cut in between and they're like rendering in the eyes, showcasing, oh look, I'm drawing in the eyes, whatever, coloring in this other aspect. And then now the background is midway done. What's also odd about this artist is that they upload speed paints, but nothing is a full speed paint basically. In speed paints, you will have jump cuts, you will have things randomly appear. There is one piece they have way down there where there's like a big black panther in there or something like that, and the panther just appears. We don't see any rendering for the panther. I'm not saying you can't copy and paste images in, but when every single one of your art pieces already has so much suspicion around it because there are what looks like AI artifacts and choices that only AI would make in it, alongside other issues, and then you start spawning in panthers, it's not selling your piece. So we continue with the illustration. Boom! This is what I mean. Another big jump cut. We don't see the rest of their rendering. We only saw half the guy's rendering and only the rendering for her face, and now they're done. This is not giving me confidence that tracing wasn't involved somewhere in here. Potentially tracing off of AI. The post continues, another time-lapse weirdness. So first sketch attempt, it looks like this. Again, no shade, no tea, right? It says we all have bad days, but it looks like two different people. Again, sometimes your first sketch looks like crap, and then you're like, ooh, I need to redo that because that looks bad. But again, with this artist, we have so many instances of it. I've only showed you two, but there's more. I will pull up more. So yeah, we go from this to then this. And by the way, they do a lot more sketching body blocking here. Interesting. And they add, and then finally, a paint by number coloring. If you have no other colors down, no set light, you wouldn't know what colors to use. Basis of color theory. And they add, reminder that seeing somebody add minor details and highlights in a video isn't proof that they made it. Easily fakeable. And I agree. Because literally anybody could take a picture and then, you know, get your little color selector tool and then be like, oh, you know, I'm gonna go select something like this and then I'm gonna add a little bit of color here. Wow, I drew this myself. But in reality, you didn't. I drew this a long time ago. So let's take a look at that speed paint. That is for this piece where they show us a mood board and then they do this basic initial sketch. So yeah, here's our basic initial sketch. Again, sometimes we have off days, that's fine. I will say though, this sketch is showing a more beginner intermediate knowledge of anatomy. And again, it's fine, it's totally fine. It's just not what this person is presenting to be out, right? This sketch is, I think, way more indicative of their actual skill level, which again is fine because we have their nose touching their lip and just anatomy wise, that doesn't work that way. Again, it's fine to have janky anatomy. We've all been there. Hands and stuff, faces, humans are hard to draw, you know? But just watch because somehow he becomes perfect. They erase that sketch. Bam! All of a sudden, they have a lot more dynamic nose. This angle of nose, by the way, is so hard to draw. Pissing me off all the time. But like, they have a way more dynamic nose drawing. Suddenly, boom, we have a very anatomical red sketch. We have hair with strands drawn in the middle. They didn't do that before. But yeah, now watch. They start drawing in their sketch and it comes perfect. All the anatomy is good, the pose is good, and then we go straight into coloring. One thing that I find a little right, they work on a pretty low res, where you can see